A hamlet watched in awe and disbelief as the silhouette of a man with a strange reddish backpack ascended the mountain. Whispers flowed freely, and there was gossip abound. Nothing lay at the top of the mountain save for the Dragon Queen and her holdings, and no single man, no matter how powerful he may be, would be enough to slay her, let alone one solitary peasant, as frail as old Toomley. Surely even he wasn't a big enough fool to attempt it alone. But all eyes were focused on the small climbing shadow, locked in a morbid fascination, as the aging peon and his odd little cargo traversed the dangerous crags against the backdrop of the rising dawn sun. A few final steps, and a man reached the imposing entrance of a mountain cave fortress. He wasn't a dashing adventurer seeking out riches, nor was he an old glory hound looking for fame. He had a hat made of straw, a roughly woven tunic, just a little too big. He was the perfect visage of a backwater farmer. At the mouth of the cave, at just the right height, there had delicately been placed a piece of wood, finely sanded and varnished so as not to injure the hand. It enticed itself to be knocked. And the farmer did just that. He rapped softly thrice and awaited a response. "Again?" An angry voice bellowed from within the cave's depths. There was a brief quiet before a great ruckus was roused. The sound of heavy footfalls at a galloping pace, charging straight towards the entrance, echoed off the walls. And in an instant, the farmer found himself with a very large, very cross, blood-red dragon standing before him. But he felt no fear, for he knew it wasn't him that was the target of her scorn. "Inside!" she barked, and the little creature that had clung so desperately to the old farmer's back sheepishly dismounted and waddled inside, likely to a moderate to severe scolding. The dragon drew a deep breath. "What was it this time?" she calmly asked. "He got into the gauze and gorged himself silly. Poor little sod could barely lift his wings when I came upon him," the farmer replied. The dragon rubbed her forehead. "I am sorry for the inconvenience. I'll make sure he gets a stern talking to." The farmer smiled. "Don't be. Bringing your litter back up is about the only real exercise I get anymore." "Well, some coin then for your trouble?" The farmer shook his head. "We go through this every time, love. If you always pay me when I brought back one of your rapscallions, you'd be in the poorhouse afore me. No, a couple will do." So the dragon conceded and gestured him in. "You know where to sit. I won't be a moment." The farmer took his usual place at the strangely human-sized table and removed his hat before running his hand down the fineness of the finish. "You know, I've sat here half a dozen times, and I've been meaning to ask, where'd you got such a piece?" "Oh, it was the forest elves." The dragon had reappeared, and clasped delicately in her claws was a small mug of tea. "You should have seen the looks on their faces when I demanded a royal oak table and one fine chair as tribute. I bet they're still trying to figure it out." The farmer chuckled. "I reckon that's an easy way to occupy a bit of someone's brain for the rest of their lives." The dragon snorted and took her own seat opposite the farmer, before glancing further down the cave. "You know, sometimes I think you're just a little too patient with them. They sneak into your fields and eat much of your crop. If you weren't so willing to haul them back up, I bet they wouldn't be such of a nuisance." The farmer took a sip of his tea and simply waved her off. "Nah, they're no trouble. Besides, I like to think of it as honouring Edith. Patience is a paradigm of the gods, she'd tell me. It's just a bit of her I keep around." "You often speak so highly of her. I wish we had had the opportunity to meet," the dragon said wistfully. "Oi, she was a right peach," the farmer replied. "I imagine she'd have been rather fond of you, and she would have loved your little one." "They're easy to love when you aren't the one raising them," the dragon teased back. The pair laughed together at the truth of the statement. "You know," the farmer spoke, "should you ever need a little break, some time to yourself, I'll be happy to look after the chicklins for an eve or two." "Oh, wouldn't that be lovely?" the dragon longed, "though I feel it improper to impose that upon you. And I would have to pay for such a task." The farmer shot her a stern look. "In tea, of course. Only in tea," the dragon quickly added. The farmer tittered a little and went back to his beverage. "You know, love, I must say, you make the finest cup this side of the kingdom." The dragon recoiled slightly in surprise.
"Well now, that is surprising, considering you're the only one I get to practice with. And here I thought you came up for my company."
The pair chortled together, and allowed a comfortable silence to drift in and settle over the dimly lit cavern, the minutes of morning slowly marching along. As much as the farmer would have loved to remain all day in the cozy little cave, there was still choring to be done. So, with a heavy exhale and one final drink, the liquid was finished. The farmer stared down at the little ceramic mug, now quite empty, other than the dampened tea leaves that littered the bottom. So he slapped his hands on his knees, put on his hat, rose from his seat, and quite emphatically stated, "Well, I best be off. Them chickens aren't going to feed themselves."
"You know, I could."
The farmer shot her a look that cut the conversation down. It would be much more efficient and less time-consuming for her to fly the farmer back down, but like each time before, he would just rebuke her and claim the walk was good for him. So she sighed in resignation.
"Well then, until next time."
"Till next time," the old farmer replied. They shared another laugh, and the human gracefully departed. And Hamlet watched in awe and disbelief as the silhouette of a man, this time without his strange reddish backpack, descended the mountain.